This video is about fun ways of supporting children with vocabulary and word finding. We'll start with a clip of some children playing a game which is helping their vocabulary as they do it.
I don't have oranges on my list.
Just put it. Beans! Me and Anna kind of. Oranges!
Toilet roll. Yay!
The objectives of the session are to consider how children learn words, how to recognise vocabulary and word finding difficulties, and how you can help your child to learn new words. Write down the first 5 words you think of to do with the word home. I thought of cat, sofa, relaxing, family, rest. Whatever you thought of, these are all associations to the word home. How do children learn words? Well, to learn a new word, children need to learn about the meaning of the word, which is called semantics, and the sound structure of the word, called phonology. To learn new words, children benefit from a social context. So every time you say goodbye and leave, you might also wave. Children start to identify similarities between words and differences. To begin with, it's very usual for a child to label all 4-legged animals as dog. But over time and repeated exposure, the child will begin to distinguish between a dog, a cat, and other animals. The child will need to hear the words many, many times, and they will also need to hear the words in lots of different contexts. Different contexts are important. If a child heard the word little to label a small ball, they could think that the word little referred to that ball. However, if they then heard the word little to label a baby elephant standing next to a big elephant, they would possibly then begin to associate little with size and to understand it as a relative concept. The way that we store words in our memory is to do with the associations to other words. We don't store all words starting with the letter A together. However, we do store words according to their function. So we might store bath and washing together because washing is the function of a bath. We might also store bath with a bathroom because that's the location where we find it. We probably also store bath with taps because a bath has taps. And we might also store the bath with its attributes, what it's like. So perhaps with the word white, perhaps with the word relaxing. These are attributes of the bath. Press pause on the video and write down all the words that you associate with the word elephant. I wonder if you had any the same as me. I had trunk, grey, water, Africa, and ears. As children get older, their associations between words become more complex. They might associate words by category, so they might link the word strawberry with fruit. They might associate words to do with people, so they could link whiteboard with teacher. They may link feelings or personal experiences. They could associate exciting with funfair. They might associate words by time, so they could link breakfast with morning. Words also have other associations, such as synonyms, words that are similar, and antonyms, words that are different. You might associate the word cookie and biscuit because they're synonyms or similar words. You could also associate words that are opposites or antonyms. So you associate light with the word dark. A child will find it easier to learn words which are concrete. So words that are action words or object words, things that we can see, touch and do, are easier to learn. It's more difficult to learn abstract concepts, such as words related to space, time, quantity and size. It's more difficult to learn words such as in front, behind, yesterday, tomorrow, many, few, large, small. These are abstract concepts. So what are the reasons for children to have vocabulary difficulties? It could be a lack of exposure. For example, research has shown that children who are read to hear more words than children who are not read to. And the more a child is read to, the more words they hear. It could be to do with learning a new language. It could be that a child has a language disorder. A language disorder can occur on its own, or it can be in association with another condition. A child could have a language disorder associated with autism, or a learning difficulty, or a hearing impairment. And it's important to remember that children who've had glue ear have had intermittent hearing loss. A child who has had intermittent glue ear will have had intermittent hearing loss. As a result, that child will have had a lack of exposure to words compared to other children. I'm going to talk about some of the signs of vocabulary difficulties. It's important to remember that everybody does all of these things now and again, but it's just worth considering whether your child does this more than other children of a similar age. The first sign is word finding difficulties. For someone who often has a word on the tip of their tongue but can't quite get it, they have word finding difficulties. Some people with vocabulary difficulties will hesitate frequently because they don't know a word. Sometimes a child will use a similar word that isn't quite right. A quite common one is calling a lion a tiger. A child with vocabulary difficulties might use a lot of empty words such as the thing, that, or there, rather than actually naming things. They might use what we call all-purpose verbs instead of a range of different action words. Words like put, do, go. The child might use inventive words that let you know what they mean but aren't quite right. So instead of branch, they might say tree handle. The child might use perseveration, which is using the same word or short phrase over and over again. The child might use circumlocution, which is talking about the word without actually using it because they don't know it or can't think of it at that moment. For example, rather than the word prawn, a child might say, that small pink thing that we got from Asda. Children with vocabulary difficulties may have difficulty sorting objects into categories, may not automatically make links with words of the same meaning, may only be able to label a word but not give any other information about it. They may not be able to define a word or say what it means, and they may have difficulty remembering new words. A vicious cycle can develop between children with vocabulary difficulties and their reading. A children with a narrower vocabulary will understand less from texts and is therefore likely to be less interested in reading. But by reading less, they're going to develop less new words and will have a more limited vocabulary. So what can parents do to help? Pause the video and think about what you do already. Some tips for parents. Teach vocabulary in meaningful situations. You could teach animal vocabulary while having a trip to a farm. Teach knowledge of words, not just labels. If you see a cow, talk about the fact that it produces milk, lives in a field, eats grass. Repeat and reinforce new words. If you're doing cooking with your child, you can show them a sieve. Label it, talk about sieving, label all the ingredients, talk about the processes as you do them, and then later talk about what you did and use all those words again. Consider what level your child is at. Teach basic words before more complicated ones. Think concrete before abstract. Show your child new vocabulary in a multi-sensory way. If you're cooking together, they can see pouring. They could do some pouring and feel it themselves. And if you're pouring water, they could hear pouring. Teach your child to identify associations between words. You might say, yes, a tiger is like a lion, but a tiger has stripes. Find out what topics are being covered at school. You could ask the teacher for a key word list and use those words with your child. Think about vocabulary associated with certain parts of the curriculum, such as science or maths. Talk about adding, subtracting. You could use fridge words. You can put them onto your fridge, ask your child to tell you what they mean, and ask them to put them in a sentence. There is a large body of evidence that reading to your child is one of the best ways to help develop their vocabulary. When children are learning to read, it can be very difficult for them to understand what they've read. It can be a lot easier if someone reads to them and takes time to talk about words that are unfamiliar to them and lets them rate whether they think they're easy, difficult, or in the middle. You can teach your child to be a word detective. Look at the type of word. Is it a noun, a verb, an adjective, or an adverb? Look at the beginnings of words and the ends of words. What do the beginnings and ends of words tell you? Are they negatives? Are they ing, which means that they're an action word or verb? There are various resources online that can be helpful. For example, you might want to look at picture dictionaries with your child that show you a picture of a word and help the child to understand what it is. Help your child to develop an awareness of the sound structure of words. Help them to identify the first sound in a word, not the letter. For example, by playing I spy. I spy something beginning with S. Support your child to clap the syllables in a word. Can they clap elephant with you? Help your child to identify if a word rhymes with another word or sounds a bit like another word. Look at written words together and sound them out. Make a word rap with your child. Say the word, clap the word, read the word, act the word out, shout the word, whisper the word. When your child has a word finding difficulty, if you know what they're trying to say, rather than straight away saying it for them, offer them some information about the meaning of the word. Offer them the first sound of the word. If you don't know the word, allow them plenty of time and encourage them to talk about the word. Ideas for games for younger children. Why not try a treasure hunt? Everybody has to look for something that can be described by a particular word, or everybody looks for something in a particular category, such as circular items, or just that you're all spotting something in particular, such as daffodils. You could try a category call-out game. Think of a category and then think of as many items as you can in that category. Perhaps you have a set time each or you take it in turns. You could play the shopping game, where you start I went shopping and bought, and gradually take it in turns to build up a list of items and remember them.
Okay, so what we're going to do is I'm going to throw the ball to the next person and we're all going to see how many different sea animals we can name. So when you get the ball, you have to name a sea animal. You ready? I'll start. Seahorse.
Whale. Octopus.
Goldfish.
Seal.
Did we have seal already?
No.
Oh, keep going then.
Mermaid.
Sea lion.
I don't know. Whale. You already said whale. Is it dolphin?
Shark.
Jellyfish.
Oh, good one.
Clownfish.
Starfish.
Fish. Eel.
Sea snail.
Stingray. Narwhal.
Crab.
Lobster.
Wow.
I was going to say lobster.
Okay.
Try games of word of the day. Write down a word where everyone can see it, and everyone tries to use the word in a sentence that makes sense as often as possible. Use touch, taste and smell. Talk about experiences as they arise and use describing words like rough. Ideas for older children. Play I Spy but with a twist. I spy something that is perfumed. Try the alphabet game. Everyone has to spot something beginning with a certain letter. Play What Can It Do? One player calls out an object and the next person has to think of 5 things it can do or can be done with it, such as a tree. You can climb it, you can chop it, it can grow, maybe even it can absorb carbon dioxide. Try the game Big Brain. For example, I'm thinking of something that's cold and starts with the letter I. Play describing games. Put some words into a hat, take it in turns to take a word out and describe it without using the word. Everybody else has to try and guess it. It's round and about this big, and it's juicy, and it's a little bit like a lemon, but it's not a lemon.
Orange.
It's an orange. Okay, your turn.
You can wear them.
You can wear them. When do you wear them?
When it's hot and sunny.
When it's hot and sunny. What part of the body do you wear them on?
Your head.
Your head. Is it a sun hat?
No.
How big is it?
About this big.
Is it sunglasses? Ah. You could also try a word association game with older children. One player says a word, the next player says a word associated with it. Mud.
Welly boots.
Puddles.
Jumping.
Splashing.
Dolphins.
Older children like playing 20 questions. Somebody thinks of an object and everybody else asks them questions, but the answer can only be yes, no or maybe. I want you to think of a household object and I'm going to ask you up to 20 questions. You just say yes or no and see if I can guess what it is. Okay. Is it downstairs?
Yes, but I can be upstairs if you're in a flat.
Oh. Do you find it in a living room?
No.
In a kitchen? Is it electrical?
No.
Is it a cupboard?
No.
Is it made of wood?
No.
Is it something you use to eat or drink with?
Yeah.
Is it a plate?
No.
Cup?
No.
Knife?
No.
Fork?
No.
A bowl?
Yeah.
Oh, good. There are also commercially available games that you can buy, such as Taboo, Don't Say It, Headbands and Guess Who. So have a think, what are you going to try next? What did you like from this video? We really hope you've enjoyed the session and have some useful ideas to take away with you. Thank you for watching.